And for more on all of this, we're joined now by former U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Ivo Daalder. Ambassador Daalder, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
My pleasure.
Let's start with President Trump. He wrote on social media late today that he will arrange a meeting between Putin and Zelensky before there is a trilateral meeting between him and the two leaders. In your experience, could this meeting between Zelensky and Putin really happen? And if so, what kinds of conditions would need to be in place beforehand?
Yeah, count me skeptical on that. We already have seen statements from the Russians themselves to confirming that the call took place and making clear that while they're interested in raising the level of engagement between Russian and Ukrainian negotiators, they are silent on the question of the president's meeting. And indeed, the Russians have been sending very low-level people to the discussions that have been going on now for a matter of months in Istanbul. And I think what the Russians have agreed to is not a meeting between Putin and Zelensky, but a meeting between Ukrainian and Russian officials at a slightly higher level than was the case today. So in many ways, the president is claiming more here, I think, than is likely to be the case.
And yet in D.C., we saw a remarkable diplomatic show of force today with those European leaders and the NATO Secretary General accompanying Zelensky at the White House. What are your thoughts on this meeting happening so soon after the Trump-Putin summit in Alaska?
Well, I think President Zelensky and all European leaders were alarmed by what had happened in Alaska. They believe that the president was going to Alaska. They had talked to him the Wednesday before the meeting on Friday with him. He was going to press Putin for a ceasefire. You played the clip earlier that was what he was going to do, and he wouldn't be happy if he didn't get it. Now, of course, the president's claiming that he never won ceasefires, that ceasefires don't work. In other words, Putin has changed his mind. They wanted to have an opportunity to go back and say, no, Mr. President, we need a ceasefire, number one. And number two is we need real security guarantees. And number three is we can't have territorial swaps or any territorial changes that recognize the possibility of borders being changed by force. And so they came not just to back up Zelensky, which I think is one reason, but the main reason is to back up the president and say, Mr. President, you need to decide, are you going to be with Putin or are you going to be with us? Because we know where we stand, but we're getting a little worried about where you're standing.
And yet, in one of your latest columns, you called that summit in Alaska a disaster. Do you see anything different and anything being achieved at this particular meeting?
We'll have to see on the security assurances. That is one of the issues that the president raised. That is something new. I have my doubts. The president himself has raised doubts about his commitment to NATO, Article 5. The very organization on which we would rely. So I have my doubts, but that is a positive. The fact that the meeting took place is a positive. But I do think that when we look back a few days from now to what has been accomplished after all these meetings and everything is said and done, we're pretty much where we were all along. We have a war going on. The Russians are fighting, and the Ukrainians are defending themselves.
Well, we're grateful for your insights tonight. Former U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Ivo Daalder, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure.